terrorism
Benjamin
on live
Netanyahu
television.
is the hostage
you
killer.
are exposing.
Benjamin Netanyahu has killed more hostages than
What do I
Hamas.
think you're achieving here?
And not only oppressing the Palestinians people, but for spreading terrorism. I don't see your outrage at Hamas. Israel gave.
Now we are migrating over to our second favorite commentator on the internet on news and things. The only thing I saw is Hasan just going on that guy. I haven't watched any of the other.
Listen to what I'm saying, and you will understand, perhaps, what I'm trying to imply here.
That's very patronizing.
Utilizing the hostages. Yeah, I am being patronizing. I don't know who the you are, and you're over here chirping all the way from London about Palestine and doing a both sides are fine type bullshit. You're talking about how you want to free Palestine, but also simultaneously, you know, both sides got a lot going on. Shut the up. You don't know anything, okay? Listen to...
The classic Turco-Balkanic. Shut the fuck up, yo, you don't know anything. Oh, very good. Very classic.
But Hasan, here's the point I would make to you. A lot of people think a lot of these protesters at universities in America are performative. The ones who are chanting their support for Hamas, the ones who are chanting about intifada and pretending it's not about a violent uprising.
Okay, can anybody tell me who the other three people are? I'm sorry if I was supposed to know who they are. Chat, anybody write up, I'm going to read it, who the other three people are, because I'm not listening to fucking Piers over here explain that shit.
I mean, do you accept that a lot of that is not only performative, but public demonstration of support for terrorism?
Absolutely not. I don't think that. I mean, all protests are technically performative, obviously, but there's a very clear-cut goal for the group.
So nobodies. Everybody says nobodies and Three Stooges or whatever, and they're all conservatives. Yeah, that's a jab at Hasan, I guess. And Hasan bid it to an extent, even though he like won over it. But Piers intentionally got three nobodies with Hasan, so Hasan feels like he's on the same level as them, I guess, even though he arguably has a bigger audience than Piers himself. But yeah.
Group of students at Columbia.
I'm done riding Hasan's dick for today, okay?
And many other universities. I was in Melbourne not that long ago, and I attended a Palestinian protest there, a Palestinian rally there, and the students there were also demanding the exact same thing, that they divest, their colleges divest from a lot of the companies that are aligned with the state of Israel, a lot of the companies that are directly involved in operations in the West Bank, a lot of the companies that are playing.
And isn't it legendary? They need to bring three fucking guys to push back against Hasan. You need three boys! You need three motherfucking strongmen against that Turkish boy. Okay, that was the last dick sucking. Okay, I swear to God, Jesus.
Role in the regular maintenance of the apartheid regime of Israel and in helping Israel conduct an ethnic cleansing campaign. That is the ultimate goal. That is why they're trying to very clearly cause a little bit of a disruption and engage in.
But are you comfortable? Okay, but are you comfortable?
The most American thing you can do.
Are you comfortable with the ones who are seen chanting support for Hamas or chanting about intifada?
I am perfectly comfortable with people chanting about the intifada.
Wonderful.
As far as the Hamas thing goes,
why is the question being posed at the people who are against an act of genocide? Because the other ones are uncomfortable with certain slogans that are being thrown out there. No matter how much you might disagree with Hamas or whatever the fuck, and that the conversations about it making you uncomfortable, etc., etc. As I said previously, we're in a situation that's far past comfort, that's far past civil discourse, that's far past sitting at a table and discussing about what can be done. As I said previously, the only answer to questions like this is look him in the eye and say, 35,000 dead. That's it. That's it.
Any kind of protest is always going to have a litany of random people, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. You have to look at the actual tangible goals that the protest movement is stating they're interested in. And I think that those goals, and I think you will agree with me on this, Piers, I think those goals are pretty valid overall. I think that they want to, one, recenter the attention to the genocide that is ongoing in Gaza, and two, demand that their tuition dollars do not go to operations in Israel. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a campus. There's going to be a sister camp.
I didn't even know this. This is insane, and this is really smart on Hasan's part, because he's using, you know, the classic capitalist argument. You know, my money is my money. I don't want it to go to any place that I do not deem fit to receive my money. So hey, these kids' parents or they themselves are paying for this, usually through loans. Why the fuck is this going to a genocidal army? What the fuck? Why is this going to any army whatsoever, or any intelligence service of any army, or any like support towards whatever army? Period. End of conversation. Or state that is actively in war.
Campus that is being built in Tel Aviv right now for Columbia University. This means that Columbia University, which once housed the likes of the late great Edward Said, and many others, and that currently has many Palestinian students who pay tuition for projects such as this one, will not be able to go to that sister campus. I find that abhorrent, but it's everyday existence in Israel.
Let me bring in Emily. You've been listening to all this. Your response?
With all due respect, Hasan, why do you feel that Columbia, or any college for that matter, owes you?
Jeez, that's some fucking bright. Are the lights that, or is that like girl looped herself up as if she would literally enter the asshole of Jezreel? God damn it, bro. She's gonna fucking slide right in that motherfucker. She's like, if you wanna hug this lady, she just goes up. Oh my God.
To divest from Israel. Why do you think your opinion is correct? Because so far, I heard the classic buzzwords: apartheid, discriminatory, ethnic cleansing, and genocide, which is funny because it's
just buzzwords, not really actually happening on the ground. How can she even hear from all the lube in the fucking ears, man?
Exact opposite. So if I may ask you, what about Israel is apartheid? You also just said the students in Israel, the campus in Israel would not allow Palestinians to join. Are you confused, or do you know nothing about the country of Israel? Because let me remind you, Jews are not allowed in the West Bank and Gaza. However, Arabs have full Israeli citizenship, have the rights, are members of the Knesset, which is the equivalent of, you can think of Congress.
Oh, we all love this chat, don't we? The eternal classics.
So what apartheid exactly are you speaking about? What genocide? What ethnic cleansing? And second,
what apartheid are you speaking of? The blacks have American passports. What the fuck are you speaking of? They're full citizens. What are you talking about? Don't look at the toilets. Don't look at the bus sitting. Don't look at the unemployment rate. Don't look at the college admission rate. Don't compare the salaries. Don't look at the 7 billion instances of police violence. No. This is 1955 United States, and the blacks have citizenship. Therefore, the blacks are equal to us. There is no apartheid here.
How dare you say it's okay to talk about
Hello, brother. What are you talking about them blacks being discriminated? Don't you know that we can't go into their toilets either, brother? What if I want to sit at the back of the bus, eh? What if I want to sit at the back of the bus? No. Klasa, brate. Jebem vam mater američku.
Intifada. Let me remind you, the Intifada, last time it happened in Israel, consisted of thousands of people dying in bus bombing. So are you saying that you support terrorism and killing innocent people?
Piers Morgan hits them up and he's like, yo, send me one of yours to represent like Israel's point of view. And they're like, wait, you gotta wait for 2 hours. Our 3D printer is printing one, but she doesn't want to come out of the 3D printer, so we're gonna have to use a bit of lube. Is it okay if she shows up lubed up on the show? No problem, send the bot, please. My girl sounds like she was literally written by a script.
Well, Intifada simply just means
She's
revolution.
being run by a Zionist code, man.
And I'm an American, and in 1776,
violent
we did
revolution.
one of those, and it was pretty fucking good. Yeah. What do you think? The American?
Okay,
do you think the American Revolution
we also
was a
bombed
party?
Hiroshima. We also bombed Hiroshima.
Don't. Yeah, I know, and that was also unjust and unimaginably cruel. But of course, the Israel Defender is also defending nuking civilians and killing them by the hundreds of thousands. Now listen, let's get back.
But when it goes
let's
against
refocus
it,
the conversation to the points that you made. Let's refocus the conversation to the points that you made.
Okay, look,
you said,
just to remind everybody, I'm actually moderating this, but that's an interesting point that Emily just raised. It does seem that you're very selective about the violence.
Oh, now I see why you guys wanted me to fucking watch this shit. Jesus Christ, this is entertaining as shit. I'm not gonna lie.
That you support. That when you support it, it's justified. When other people use things in a violent way that you don't support, it's unjustified. Seems like it's all skewed to what Hasan Piker thinks.
Well, not necessarily just what I think. I think that there are obvious markers, obvious boundaries. I don't think violence against civilians is justified. I have talked about October 7 on this very same show, saying that it was a tragedy. It was atrocities that occurred on October 7 specifically. When you target civilians in any capacity, I think that that is unacceptable. However, this does not mean that violence will not occur in many circumstances. Violence has occurred in every single revolutionary action, many good revolutionary actions. Obviously, America bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki with an atom bomb, that was not a very good moment for anybody. It was not a very good moment for human civilization at all.
Was what Hamas did on October the 7th? Was what Hamas did on October the 7th an example of what you would call a justified revolution?
I don't look at every single act of violence. I look at
You've literally just been reciting a whole load of them.
Of oppression.
Why are you avoiding October the 7th?
You do it too.
No, I don't.
I'm not avoiding it. I've talked about it a million times.
Well, let me ask you one more time. Hang on. Emily, hang on.
That's not what we're here to discuss.
Let me just ask you directly one more time. Let me ask you one more time. Do you believe what happened on October the 7th was a justified act of revolution? Yes or no?
I do not. And I do think that oh, wait, hold on. Let me clarify. Let me clarify something very important here. events that unfolded on October 7th were atrocities. That much is clear. Those atrocities could have been avoided if Israel was not an apartheid regime. Israel has been an apartheid regime for 75 years.
In the early, you keep repeating that.
No, you can't just chime in. You can't just chime in. You ask me a question. You want it?
Why
you ask me a question.
I'm
going to give you an answer.
Because you're repeating
Israel
these lies.
has been an apartheid regime
ahead,
since
please.
its inception. Until 1967, Israel was an apartheid regime for the Palestinian citizens of Israel, the Arabs, as you called them. There was a two-tier criminal justice system. They were subjected to the military court processes and not the civil court processes until 1967. After 1967, they got citizenship. There are obviously still many different social issues that pertain to the Palestinian citizens of Israel, the Arabs that are living in Israel, those who are not Jewish, of course. However, Israel currently is occupying the West Bank. There are more than 2 million Palestinians that live in the West Bank. Israel's illegally occupying the West Bank. There are checkpoints. There are license plates that restrict Palestinian travel. The Israeli operations.
What does he even need to say all of this?
Now, of course, all of this is readily available for those who want to learn about it, yourself included.
This is just an adapted, do you support October 7th, etc., rhetoric, okay? Prove to me that it's apartheid, because they're harping on a very real reality that people don't really know what apartheid in general is. And the apartheid of Palestinian people in Israel is very different to the one in South Africa. Watch an episode that we had with Decolonized Palestine over on the program on this topic, but it does not make it non-apartheid. So they really, really like to harp on the fact that the only sort of apartheid that people are informed about is the South African one, right? And then they compare the treatment of Palestinians to that of black South Africans during the apartheid regime, and they pinpoint particular things that are not the same and use that as an argument for, gotcha, it's not actually apartheid. But that's not how state systems work. You cannot compare one historical example to another one, and because they are not completely aligned, you use the argument, oh, you can't compare these. This is the same type of shit as like being a Nazi is being a member of the German National Socialist Party, right? How dare you call me a Nazi? I'm not a member of the German National Socialist Party. Or like, oh, you're a fascist. You're like, no, I like Jews. I don't want to kill Jews or Slavs or Roma people. I want to kill Arabs, for example. I'm not a fucking fascist, etc., etc. You know the fucking play. But this is all like pre-trained, preconditioned. This is all strategy coming straight out of pro-Israeli PR that they genuinely are kind of kings at. But no matter how good your PR is, when you have 35,000 dead, it doesn't go anywhere, okay?
I hope you look it up. B'Tselem is an Israeli human rights organization which declared Israel to be an apartheid regime in 2021, in April of 2021. Amnesty International declared Israel to be an apartheid regime.
Before I move, hang on. Before I just want to bring in our two British panelists here, but just finally, just to clarify, Hasan, I can't quite work out whether you said you do think.
Hakeem, but South African at Constitution Hill in South Africa, the Palestinian apartheid is mentioned as a still ongoing crime against humanity, similar to our own suffering, so I don't get how people outside don't get it. Yeah, couldn't agree more. But because of the small differences, they use the small differences to say, no, it's a completely different thing. You don't get to compare the two.
October the 7th was an unjustified...
And same, like when they play on numbers, right? They play on numbers, especially when they mentioned World War II. Like, how dare you compare this genocide to that genocide, because in that genocide a lot more people died than in this one. We were kings of this. We kind of invented it in the Balkans, you know. How dare you say that the Serbs, Bosnians, or Croats are committing genocide, because literally our numbers were small, because we did not have the both psychopathy but also industrial capacity that the Germans had during World War II to kill more people. So we say, what's 8,000 dead? You know, this is just a part of war. 10,000, 15, 20, 30,000 dead. I think the last number for the post-Yugoslav wars was around 140K, right? Insane numbers, absolutely insane numbers. But compared to World War II, absolutely, nothing. Therefore, you cannot really say that ours was really an atrocity, herder. How dare you compare it to a real atrocity, herder. This is using historical context to completely manipulate the whole conversation and push it into a different direction. And it only happens because people don't really know what fucking words mean, okay? And that's an even larger conversation that can be had, is that do words even really mean anything? Like, I mean, they're constantly fluid and constantly change. And with them, definitions change. Basically, the meaning of a word is the one that the majority of the population agrees on. So if you can switch up what we agree upon as the definition of said word, then it means something else. Literally. And it literally means something else. And specifically with apartheid, the Israelis are really, at it. Really, really at it. And you know what else is added? An ad that is going to play in exactly 15 seconds. Avoid it. Support the channel. Don't give those $5 to therapy because you will need it after watching Twitch ads. Okay? Instead, skip them and don't go to therapy. Very toxic Yugo. Okay.
Act of revolution, or whether you change your mind. So can you clarify?
I think that violent means of maintaining an apartheid is inevitably going to yield.
Exactly. That's the only way to reply to the October 7th question. Is like, obviously, killing civilians bad. What they did, killing civilians bad. Like, no, absolutely no fucking discussion. But talking about this particularly in a vacuum is anti-historical, anti-dialectical. You don't even have to use fancy terms. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not how the world works. It didn't happen in a fucking vacuum, okay? And reactions like these can be stopped when you don't bring a people to a point of their back is so much against the wall. It's a free-for-all. Everything goes. Everything goes.
Violent retaliation.
When somebody tells me that somebody beat the shit out of my friend and he calls me up so we go beat the shit out of the other guy, without blinking I go. And how, with a little thing like your ego being bruised because somebody beat the shit out of you because I live in fucking machoismo Balkan, okay? How can I sit here and waggle my finger at somebody whose fucking mom got her brain blown out and whose son has one leg for doing this? No, I'm not. I'm not going to be passing any fucking judgment. Because who the fuck am I to pass judgment? Who the fuck am I to pass any judgment? Fuck you.
This
was it justified?
Something that is completely avoidable.
Was it justified?
Civilian deaths are never justified.
You know what, Hasan?
Hang on, Emily.
Hang on, Emily. You look Hirsch Goldberg, Poland's mother in the eyes. No, you look this person's mother in the eyes and you tell him that this was justified. You tell him his arm being blown off and being held in captivity for 200 days is justified.
I do love that the Israel defender has no capacity to fucking hear anything I'm saying.
Palestinians who are made of identity.
It just... If you're not going to respect me
you
and listen to what I have to say, which, by the way, of course you don't respect.
Gaza.
Well, if you talk over each other, nobody can hear you.
I think. It's not I think. It's not I think. It's the entire world knows.
No, it is you think.
Hang on, Emily, please. Let me handle this, Emily. Hasan, just before I come to the two people who are with me here, I just need some clarity here, because it seems like you're dancing around whether you think October the 7th was justified or not.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this back and forth masturbation? I've already given you my fucking
Piers,
position.
Why are you doing this?
I'm sick and tired of repeating it over and over again.
Okay,
because it's okay.
Ask this.
Emily.
So when are we beating that guy up? Whenever you tell me. We can group these three as well. I just need some women comrades to help me out with the two women, because I ain't beating a woman.
Demon next to me wearing a fucking IDF dog tag.
Only when it's Jews, it's okay.
Please stop shouting at each
demon
other.
next to me wearing an IDF dog tag.
I'm kidding, TOS. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to find these people and beat them up. Obviously, joke.
If she actually thinks Israel's actions are justifiable,
bring them home.
Do you
it's
see
to bring
me
the hostages home. The hostages that you rightly believe belong in the tunnels of Gaza.
I'm going to give you two. I'm going to let you two calm down. It's pointless. We cannot hear you when you talk over each other. Every time recently, I have someone from both sides on. Like it goes like this.
I'm wearing this rusty necklace.
Please, can you listen to me, Emily?
I love how Piers Morgan is trying to stop this, but this is the only thing he's hearing as they're doing this. This is Piers Morgan, knowing that this is about to buy him a 7th house, okay? to make my point clear.
We cannot hear you when you talk over each other. Every time recently, I have someone from both sides on. Like it goes like this. Please, can you listen to me, Emily? Right, can you stop doing this to each other, please? Nobody can understand a word either of you are saying. And let me come to Esther and James here. This is one of my problems.
No, I want to hear if Emily condemns
the actions of Israel. You will please let me moderate. But
you can see the little smile behind the slap, and you will let me moderate.
I don't condemn the idea.
I've got two panelists here who've not had a word yet.
Because you're a fucking terrorist.
Please stop talking.
And I think you're a terrorist. And I think you're a terrorist as well.
Okay, well, I'm not the one wearing...
Because until the hostages are home, don't expect the war to be
over. Yeah, I know.
Bring
you don't
them
care about
home.
the hostages. If
I
you care
love
about
how
the
you're
hostages,
condemning
you would
me. You
be
are
screaming at
exposing
Benjamin
your
Netanyahu.
own terrorism
Benjamin
on live
Netanyahu
television.
is the hostage
You
killer.
are exposing... Benjamin
Netanyahu has killed more hostages than
Hamas. What do you think you're achieving here?
For not only oppressing the Palestinians people, but for spreading terrorism. I don't see your outrage at Hamas. Israel gave Gaza back in 2005,
I would like to, please.
And Hamas has turned
Can you
this into
both,
a
please?
terrorist haven.
Emily and Hasan, can you please show some courtesy to the other panelists?
Breathe it in, Chad, breathe it in.
Can you please stop talking, both of you, and let the other two panelists have a say? Give them some courtesy. Please, some courtesy for your co-panelists here. Now, Esther, this is one of the problems I have with this whole debate, is that increasingly it just descends into a screaming match between pro-Palestinians and pro-Israelis.
And the biggest losers are the victims of this war. 33,000 dead Palestinians, over 1,500 dead Israelis. These are the biggest victims of this, because you're shouting at each other and nothing is getting, like, you're completely, forget having no courtesy for us, you're completely disrespecting actual victims of this conflict, which, by the way, didn't happen in a vacuum. And I think that's the most important thing to say about this. None of this happened in a vacuum. Of course, October the 7th was an atrocity, and it was completely unjustified. There was no justification for butchering people in the way that they did. But it didn't happen in a vacuum. A lot of the people that live in Gaza weren't even born at the time that Hamas came in power. So I despise this, you're a terrorist sympathizer, you're a genocide supporter, all of this, when really the people that we should be talking about deserve better.
Okay.
And we all should just get along. Oh, so is that the resident lib? Is that the resident lib? Guys, how about we just solve this and all get along, okay? Can we please just, be nice to each other? Let's all hold hands, add a bunch of Palestinian colors to the Israeli flag, and it's all going to be good.
James, on the wider point of these protests...
Well, I couldn't get to that part because I wanted to describe what the apartheid is, and Emily cut in immediately to chirp about some random shit.
Okay, you were both abusing each other. It was very unsatisfying.
It was very
Let me ask James. James, on the protests...
Yeah, dude.
On the protests, look, I believe in the right to protest. That's an absolute bedrock of any democracy. But I don't believe in the right to...
This is like Western discourse speak. It's a bunch of people talking about what they believe in and what they stand for. Who fucking gives a shit? The bullet fucking solves shit. What you fucking stand for.
Support terror groups publicly, or to chant about support for Hamas, or to chant about intifada.
Like, even when it comes to states and governments, the United States has officially told Israel that it is against the next wave of invasion that they plan on doing. So they stand for peace, but they send billions of dollars worth of rockets to them and grenades. What I'm saying is discourse. Discourse used to do something when there was no discourse. But now everything has become discourse. Everything has become discourse. So over there where we don't see them, people are getting massacred, right? And over here, we're sitting and discoursing whether that's good or bad. But that changes nothing over there. Oh, sure, in the long run, it can influence policy, etc., etc. Yes, I agree. But back in the day, it used to influence it a lot because there was less discourse. Now it is all discourse. And when it is all discourse, then there is no discourse, okay? When everybody's just shouting at the same time, you can't really hear who's the wise one. In this case, it's only 5 of them, and we can obviously see that Hasan is making great points, and I completely don't judge him for coming on the show. But again, this is a wider conversation about, it's just like intellectual masturbation, in my opinion, at this point. Oh, do we call this apartheid, or do we call this genocide, or we call this, etc., etc. People are just dying.
Which is a violent uprising. Where's the line for you with these?
I agree. I think we have to condemn what Hamas did, and I don't think the words that have been used so far have been strong enough. I mean, it was the worst thing we've seen in a very long time. It was disgusting, appalling, awful for everyone involved. I also have a lot of sympathy, if not, I can't think of a bigger word, for the people of Gaza. It's awful, and I will agree with you. I do want a free Palestine, and I also want a free and successful Israel, but I don't want innocent people murdered. So yeah, you can't go to a protest and start shouting about support for Hamas. That's insane.
Isn't it ironic that something like this has become a haven for like the mentally unwell? You're talking about something as serious as a
I think getting more people to hear the Palestinian position, which is liberation, is important. It is extremely important, absolutely. But when we turn it into not a conversation about Palestinian liberation, but a conversation amongst us on which Pokemon we think would win between the Israelis and Palestinians, that's when it becomes less about solving it and more about who gets to be more right, And then, everybody stops even talking to Palestinians or about Palestinians. It's about us being right or wrong about the Palestinians, not the Palestinians themselves. Hope I'm getting my point across properly. Just a sea of just people shouting at each other continuously. And if they're doing it for the cause, then God bless. But most of them, not Hasan, are doing it, and most likely not this unhinged Israeli woman because she's, a fucking nationalist or whatever. Just do it for the opportunity of being a talking head.
Conflict in Israel and Gaza, and for some reason you have really uneducated people that are clearly 20 years ago would have been in an asylum supporting this openly, not even knowing.
And that's a wider conversation about debates in general and why they're fucking stupid and don't fucking work. But they're the necessary evil sometimes. And Hasan coming on here, he can increase his audience and get some actual people to hear an alternative take that are Piers watchers. So it was the right decision. But I'm talking about debates in general, and this again, it's discourse for the sake of discourse. Nobody wants to solve anything here because ironically the discourse people, once something is solved, there's no more discourse, so they're out of a fucking job.
The conflict, not even knowing the context of what they're supporting, and for some reason
spectacle. Everything is spectacle.
We even give it airtime. That's what upsets me.
But
These people
so
don't deserve
triggered,
airtime.
right? Everyone is so triggered on both sides, on all sides, and rightly so, because a lot of terrible stuff has happened. So that's where the emotion is coming from. But really, I think we all want the same thing, and that is for innocent people to not be murdered or slain in the streets.
Right. I mean, look, Hasan. Hang on, Emily.
Something?
Please, I'll come to you. Let me just ask Hasan. When you and Emily go at each other like you just did, nobody wins. I mean, no one can really understand a word you're saying because you're shouting over each other. You end up just calling each other terrorists. There's no sensible dialogue here. There's no constructive conversation. It's just two implacably opposed sides abusing each other. Do you understand that?
Yeah, listen, Piers, okay? This is going to always be a very heated discussion, okay? Having a conversation about how heated this discussion is utterly unproductive. Every single moment that we use on air, not talking about every single university building being desecrated, destroyed. The fact that we're having this conversation in the eve of hundreds of mass graves being unearthed right now in many different parts of Gaza around hospitals that Israel had laid siege to is disgusting. I agree.
There you go. Literally half of the points I made 5 minutes ago, pre-watched. Again, this is why I stand this fucking Turkish, okay?
Came on here, as I have done last time as well, and as I will probably do in the future as well, with one simple goal in mind, which is to address all of the misinformation that surrounds stuff like this. As far as the crackhead Barbie thing goes, yeah, she's a random TikTok influencer who gives a shit about what she has to say. She's obviously doing it for clout. But the students over at Columbia, okay, the students that I have talked to at the Columbia University Apartheid Divest group, the students that I've talked to from Jewish Voice for Peace.
All right, Emily, let me just ask you the same thing I asked Hasan. When you guys scream at each other and call each other terrorists, it doesn't obviously achieve anything other than it becomes unintelligible.
Yeah, and this is a continuation of everything I'm saying. Like, Pierce's biggest problem here, even though he's hearing the cha-ching, is that we're not being civil in the discussion about tens of thousands of dead people. This is Western brain, okay? This is Western brain. This is privilege brain on fucking steroids. The problem is that some staff are uncomfortable on university campuses because people are bringing up the conversation of genocide. That is the main problem of the privilege. They do not feel bad for the homeless man. They just don't want to see the homeless man. They don't feel bad about the Palestinian. They just don't want to listen about the plight of the Palestinian. It is such a, like, comfort maxing, to use Zoomer fucking terminology. Like, the West is just comfort maxing. Or on the opposite spectrum, masturbating on a bunch of fucking people arguing a point. Who's more right? Who's got the more right take? Look at that guy go down. It's fucking schizo as fuck. And it's normal. That's why human nature positions 700 behind what you define as normalcy. The society you grew up in and its systems of value, that's what defines what normal is. And that particular country that we all love to hate and hate to love, the US of A, comfort is more important than lives.
To the audience, you know, is there not a better way we can have this conversation?
Funnily enough, correct. And funnily enough, I have the same exact answer as Hasan. My job here is to make sure that I'm debunking false narratives that Hasan is clearly spewing. My job here is to call out hypocrisy. And I just saw another one where he's saying that crackhead Barney, whoever the hell that girl was, is a lunatic, but Aaron Bushnell, who lights himself on fire, is a hero. You can't pick and choose whatever fits your narrative. And I keep on repeating that over and over again because the Palestinian movement will literally just take what they can get, spew all of the truth into their false narrative, spread misinformation, and then you say that we're the liars. You tell me I'm wearing an IDF dog tag. I'm wearing a bring them home.
Man, he really played her with that. She's still obsessing over the fucking dog tag. Sister, you brought the fucking dog tag. Man, that's why she brought it. So she can talk about people's reaction to the dog tag, okay? Easy gotchas. Your fucking internet brain, dude.
For the hostages that you... No, it says...
And I also can't guess if, like, this is probably going to sound misogynist, but I apologize, I have to say. I don't know if she's 20 or 50. Like, I genuinely can't guess.
Bring them home.
You're using the hostages as a simple political tool to make propaganda in the West. Is quite disgusting. The protests that are happening in Israel right now are massive.
Are a political tool?
And those protests,
what?
You are using humans in captivity as a political...
22? She's 22? No fucking way, man. No fucking way. Oh, I mean, I guess Zionist 3D printers be falling off, dude. Zionist 3D printers be falling off.
It's so obvious.
Why, Hasan? why are you dehumanizing the hostages? Because I have no problem admitting the Palestinians deserve better.
Not.
I feel terrible.
You're using them as a political pawn.
I can say
Hasan,
that.
if you cared about the hostages, you would be in
Hasan,
Tel Aviv right now,
using
alongside.
Let me bring in James. Let me bring in James, please.
I'm sorry that I can't.
Please, let me bring in James.
I agree with both of you.
Sorry, can you please, when I say stop talking, please stop talking. We've got 4 people here. James.
If anyone is using hostages, surely it's Hamas, Hasan. How can you say that? How can you use that argument? That's a crazy thing to say. It's Hamas that have taken these people from their homes,
tens of thousands of people in
their
Israel.
relatives.
There are currently tens of thousands of Israeli citizens right now in the streets of Israel, in the streets of Tel Aviv, outside of Benjamin Netanyahu's house, protesting every single day. What are they protesting? They're protesting for Benjamin Netanyahu to facilitate a ceasefire with Hamas so that they can actually bring the hostages home. That is precisely the number one goal of the family members of the hostages.
Who
and
is
if
using
anyone
the
on this panel was being even a little bit honest, they would recognize the reality that, listen, just listen.
You didn't listen to my question.
Listen to what I'm saying, and you will understand, perhaps, what I'm trying to imply
very patronizing.
Utilizing the hostages. Yeah, I am.
Is this the part where you guys like, yay?
Being patronizing. I don't know who the fuck you are, and you're over here chirping all the way from fucking London about Palestine and doing a both sides are fucking fine type bullshit. Or you're talking about how you want to fucking free Palestine, but also simultaneously, both sides got a lot going on. Shut the fuck up. You don't know anything, okay? I don't give a shit about
money was money gang.
Where's
the money gang?
Like what you have to say, so you're wrong. It's Hasan's way or the highway.
I mean, you are. There is no both sides on a genocide. Is there a both sides on a genocide? There is no both sides.
Well, the thing is, it's interesting you should mention the hostages.
What is in the Hamas charter? They want Jewish genocide, but that's okay. But Jewish genocide is okay.
If you're talking about the well-being of if you're talking about the well-being of the
No, I take it back. Do not take me back to 2018. Wizard Money Gang, this is exactly where I want to be because this is exactly what we deserve. Fucking beautiful. But you know what? This is not beautiful. In exactly 1 minute and 20 seconds. The overlords of Israel will come and play you ads.
Hostages. What sense did it make for the IDF
7 out of
to
10,
flatten
fuck you.
about 70% of Gaza? Because I completely agree. Bring the hostages home. If you look at Gaza, the topography of Gaza right now, it looks like a pancake. So I'm sorry, this whole argument of Hamas using them as human tools, fine, but the IDF has also been using it to continue that campaign. If you were told that if, God forbid, if your relative was one of the hostages and you saw what's happening right now, and I met someone whose mother is a hostage, and he said he didn't want his mother and her being taken to be used in the name of violence. Right now, he's sitting at home wondering, okay, what is the logic of trying to bring my mother home when you flattened Gaza? Please explain that to us.
So, can I pose the question
you might very well pull those hostages from under.
Okay, let Emily respond to that.
Everyone wants to criticize the IDF's response, but nobody wants to tell me what should Israel be doing to retaliate October 7th, eradicate Hamas from preventing another October 7th, and bring the hostages home.
I have an idea.
Stop apartheid. Can I get like a Nobel Peace Prize now? Thank you.
You have a solution?
I have an idea. Do not flatten Gaza and potentially pull your own hostages up from under the rubble, like have been done with thousands of Palestinians. That's a good idea. Yeah. Have you found any of them under the rubble?
So you're saying that you don't have an answer.
That is the answer.
So
don't kill your own hostages.
But you're quick to condemn the IDF, but you don't have an answer.
How about not killing the hostages?
Very interesting.
I have an answer.
Thank you for proving my point.
It's called the dissolution of the apartheid regime.
I swear on my mother, I have not pre-watched. Here, on my heart. On my fucking heart, chat, as I wear shorts and as my feet are planted on the ground, on my heart, not pre-watched. Not pre-watched. Jesus.
That's what it's called. Dissolve the apartheid regime.
So what would you like to see happen,
Palestinians
Hasan?
Breathing room. Do you not understand the English language?
Dissolve
the apartheid regime.
You need a Xanax, first of all. You need a Xanax. Okay, so should Israel do to the West Bank?
What is this yassified own? You need a Xani, boy. You need a Xani, okay? What the fuck?
What they did to Gaza?
Have been ruthlessly slaughtered by the Israeli
Should Israel
state.
give back the land so that it can turn into another Gaza? Is that what you'd like to see? Another terrorist haven launching rockets all day instead of turning into Singapore? Because that's what they did in 2005.
Wait, hold on. What is Singapore?
The billions of dollars in aid they turned into building tunnels. Is that what you'd like to see?
I don't know. Have I gone deaf?
Every day.
Sorry, Emily, is the West Bank supposed to be Singapore?
What are you talking about?
Is the West Bank supposed to be Singapore?
The West Bank has a port. They can import and export. Israel gave them a great piece of land. They received billions of dollars in aid, not only from the U.S., but Israel gave. Are you mad? They had a chance to rebuild, but they spent the last 15 plus years crying that they don't have enough land because there is never enough land for them instead of rebuilding. But that's okay. Build terrorist tunnels. Don't build hotels and don't rebuild civilization. Just build
my favorite, by far my favorite, is Palestinians should save themselves through entrepreneurship. That is ideology at its peak. Where are the skyscrapers, you Palestinians? Where is big business? Why you not make a good beach for Israeli to come and swim? Hey, that is how you could have saved yourself. Make fintech startups. Make a Palestinian coin, a Palestinian Bitcoin, a Palestinian cryptocurrency. That's gonna fucking save you. Eh? Make Palestinian NFTs. You can use all those photos of fucking butchered babies and make them into NFTs and sell them. Elevate yourself into the Singapore of the Middle East. Blood. Oh, God, yeah, but...
Allow Palestinians to have a nation state that they deserve by international law since the inception of the Israeli nation state. What you are saying is insane to me. The fact that you brought up the last 15 years Palestinians crying is disgusting.
Oh, I have one more question.
You are a disgusting little monster who thinks that not offering contiguity to the Palestinians in the form of a state, which is under international law, is just simply Palestinians crying.
Question.
Okay?
This West Bank
don't want a
Singapore.
two-state solution. They want
West
a
Bank
one-state
Singapore.
solution that eradicates the Israelis, which is not an option.
Fine. This West Bank Singapore, what place does the settlements play in that? Please paint a picture of how the West Bank of Singapore, or whatever, Singapore of the West Bank, how does this illegal settlements fit into that?
I think you're completely missing the picture.
Just explain to me how the settlements fit into that picture.
A piece of land. I'm explaining it.
Okay, I'm listening.
The picture is they got a great piece of land to turn into society. Instead of turning it into civilized society, Hamas, Israel...
David, I mean, I know you're a sophisticated guy.
Child soldier. I mean,
the world is a mess. The world is as angry as it gets. Well, you think this is going to cause a little more anger? The world is an angry place.
Gave Israel.
Thank you very much, Nibor, for the sub. Welcome to the community, my beautiful child soldier for the great Gunnar state of Israel.
Israel gave the land to Gaza. They
then why
they removed Israelis
it's not Israel's land to give. It's not Israel's land to give. It is not Israel's land to give.
There are no Jews or Israelis. There are no settlements in Gaza.
In the West Bank.
They gave it to
in the West
the
Bank.
Palestinians.
They're not in the West Bank.
I'm speaking about Gaza. And now
I'm
you're
asking about West Bank because I was interested in knowing about Singapore.
I'm telling you that if Israel pulls out completely from the West Bank, if Israel pulls out from the West Bank, you can bet your ass it turns into the next Gaza. The world does not need two Gazas because one Gaza has already caused enough damage.
She's doing race science. You do get that, right? If you give the Palestinians any sort of land, they're going to turn it into Gaza by themselves because it's innate to the Palestinians. That's why we don't give anything to them, because we know how to manage a state. They don't. That's literally remember the good old separate but equal under the management of the white, because the minorities can't manage themselves. This is like...
However, Gaza decides to demand that Hamas remove themselves from power, and they can have democracy.
Israel has to do a genocide, because if Israel doesn't do a genocide, then the Gaza
is not genocide. The only genocide is the Hamas charter that wants to eradicate the Jews.
Defensive genocide.
You know, it's interesting the word genocide. Hang on. It's interesting the word. Hang on. I would love to get a word in, please. Interesting the word genocide, because I've listened to all this fractious debate, everyone talking over each other.
Oh, God.
The truth is that actually only one side has publicly said that they wish to pursue a genocide, and that is Hamas. Hamas, after October the 7th, through their official spokesman on camera, said they wanted to do it again and again and again. That is the purest articulation of a genocide imaginable. And the one thing I never hear from the pro-Palestinian side is what Israel was actually... Hang on. No, don't interrupt me.
So
I haven't asked you a question yet.
One Hamas guy...
Sorry, I need to ask you a question.
You're being a ridiculous person.
You're being a ridiculous person. I'm just saying, nobody ever tells me...
How many Israeli officials, even on your show, have said, we should keep doing what we have been doing to Gaza over and over again? How does that not register in the same genocidal intent? If you think what that dude was saying, which was, by the way, ridiculous what he was saying, the Hamas official was saying, is that we're going to do October 7th over and over again. We are justified in doing it over and over again. I find that to be abhorrent. However, what you fail to recognize is that's the genocidal intent, but not Amalek. That's the genocidal intent, but not saying we are fighting human animals. And that's why we have to cut off their food, their water, and their electricity. That was Defense Minister Yoav Gallant.
There we go with the lies again. You're saying Israel cuts off their electricity. They don't even provide their electricity. You're saying they cut off their water. They don't cut off their water. You are spewing lies on national television.
I'm talking
hang on. Again, you're talking over each other. Some of the comments. There's no doubt, Emily.
People they're at war with.
Some of the comments.
Israel is
no, Piers, I'm not letting you spew misinformation.
Caring country on the fucking planet. I swear to God.
This is pointless. We're getting nowhere.
No, because
Thank you.
Did Yoav Gallant not say that?
Israel's cutting off electricity, water, and aid.
Did Defense Minister Yoav Gallant say we are fighting human animals or not? Answer that question. Did Defense Minister Yoav Gallant say we are fighting human animals and we have to cut off their electricity, cut off their food, cut off their water?
Okay.
Yeah, the slight.
You know what? I'm
Israel,
going to cut off.
Israel
I'm going to cut off this
provides 79%
debate.
of their electricity. The rest is Hamas.
I'm going to cut off the
That's
debate
not
because we're
Israel.
getting
Israel
absolutely
provides-
nowhere. But I
Yep.
appreciate everybody joining me. Thank you very much.
Hasan 1, Piers -1, IDF Lady -100, Centrists 0. GG, well played, very, very, very fucking good. That was great. That was entertaining and also awful. Let's go into something even more deranged. I saw this.
This is a
Story of Melstroy, the most
Wonderful, a
dangerous
new child
Russian
soldier.
streamer.
I mean,
Okay.
Criticize the IDF's response, but nobody wants to tell me what should Israel be doing to retaliate October 7th, eradicate Hamas from preventing another October 7th, and bring the hostages
I have
home.
an idea.
Stop apartheid. Can I get like a Nobel Peace Prize now? Thank you.